Winning over that service member means that you've won their family. It doesn't stop there, right? So this is a group mindset, a collection of people that really, work in collectives. They share what they like, and so not only do you have a chance to potentially win over that military member and their family, but their neighbors and other community members. So there's an exponential effect to gaining their loyalty.
Chris, welcome. Let's start with an introduction of bBIG Communications. What do you do? Who do you serve? And what makes the military consumer segment such an important audience for brands?
So bBIG Communications is one part content publisher and one part media platform. Our underlying goal is really to provide value for service members and their families. So that includes all sorts of content, product recommendations, discount programs, that kind of thing. The military audience is really important for brands because it represents a sizable portion of the population, and it has significant buying power, and on top of that, a tremendous sense of loyalty. So winning over this audience really means that you can earn customers for life.
The military community represents over $1.2 trillion in annual buying power. Can you break down the scale of this opportunity and what makes military consumers so unique?
Right. So for starters, 1 in 10 Americans have either worn the uniform or love someone who has. So that's 10% of the population, if you think about it. That's counting active duty, veterans, and their immediate families. So that's really significant. $1.2 trillion seems really sizable, but it really hits home when you realize that per capita, that's more buying power in this military affiliated audience that we're talking about than the African-American demographic. I mentioned loyalty earlier. Military families tend to be twice as likely to claim loyalty to a particular brand than the general market. That makes sense since loyalty is kind of drilled into the military service members through training and things. And if all of that isn't enough, I think the positive vibes of giving back to service members who have sacrificed so much for this country really should be something that every brand wants to be a part of.
How do military families balance their shopping across commissaries, exchanges, and mainstream retailers? And what trends stand out?
So military families shop just like any other family. They seek out the best deals available to them wherever they can find them. However, in order to ensure force readiness at home, the Department of Defense created the Defense Commissary Agency called DECA. This is a retail component that offers active duty families and some veterans a special benefit in the form of retail access and steep discounts. So commissaries often win on price. Sometimes it's not even competitive. Commissaries have to offer up to like a 23% discount. But commissaries are 80% grocery, so they don't solve for all of the military family shopping needs. Similarly, exchanges, which are run by each of the armed forces divisions, those offer goods at big discounts, but in both commissaries and exchange situations, there's not always the best selection. So that's where shoppers look to other options: online shopping, Walmart, and other retailers outside of the gate. Behaviorally, as I mentioned earlier, brand loyalty is really big for this audience. So once a family finds a connection to a brand, it's a bond that's really hard to break, even harder than in the general market. So this trend that we see is that companies that do a good job of building those bridges, making those connections with the military families, those are the ones that are seeing long-term success with this audience. Another trend that we're seeing is an increasing demand for convenience and speed. Families want, faster, more flexible shopping, and a lot of times they're actually willing to sacrifice discounts, that steep discount that they're getting at the commissary and exchange. They'll sacrifice that for the selection that they can get from a different retailer and the convenience of shopping in a different environment. So there's a big gap here that retailers can come in and fill by being sensitive to this military family need and the particularities that govern their shopping experiences.
Why is authenticity so critical when connecting with military consumers? And what pitfalls should brands avoid?
Many brands assume that saying we support our troops is enough to earn that military consumer loyalty. It's well-intentioned, but it's not a strategy. Military affiliate audiences are loyal and engaged, but they're also discerning, right? Too many brands just can try to rely on surface level gestures instead of making that real connection. So flags and hashtags don't equal loyalty, right? If you're going to spout patriotic slogans without backing it up with real action, it's probably better not to even bother. Military marketing means paying attention to the whole family. Spouses and children drive many purchase decisions, just like in general market, so make sure you don't ignore them. Active duty veterans and retirees all have different needs and different mindsets, right? There's similarities, but they're not a monolith. So be careful not to overgeneralize when you're thinking about those distinct audiences within this military category. True impact requires a sustained commitment, not just seasonal ads, not just a periodic tip. You need to have a sustained commitment there. Military families, they're sacrificing every day. They're sacrificing a lot. So greet them with a big picture support, not one-off campaigns. Military audiences, I think they can spot performative support instantly. So you really have to create an authentic partnership and be true to the purpose of serving this audience. Don't just try to sell them a discount. I think military marketing, when done right, is about authenticity. It's about respect. It's about long-term engagement. It requires brands to move beyond just symbolism and invest in understanding what truly matters to the community.
Walk us through your all channels on model. How does it ensure brands connect consistently across touch points?
Connecting effectively with modern audiences is always going to require an integrated approach. So all channels on is our proprietary model for ensuring that our clients get noticed across the board. We have a wide array of tactics and channels that we use to reach audiences. A lot of that is done through our owned platforms that are already engaging with this audience every day, through social media, website content, email blasts, things like that. And then we enhance that with some external channels, still reaching that audience, to enhance the reach that we can get. So all channels on gives you a bespoke collection of tactics that are designed to reach across platforms in an integrated fashion and hit the military audience at all levels with that all-important consistency and repetition that you need in effective marketing.
How do mymilitarySavings.com and mymilitarylifestyle.com give brands direct access to military households?
So those are our two cornerstone products. mymilitarylifestyle.com, or we call it MML for short. That's really the backbone of what we do. It's basically an online magazine for the military lifestyle. So this is where all of our content lives, where we draw in the military audience with blogs and videos, photography, anything that's meaningful and important to them. And it also helps current and former service members stretch every dollar by uncovering exclusive military discounts, money-saving tips, travel options, lifestyle deals tailored just for them. It's the primary place where we connect all of the dots together. mymilitarsavings.com is the partner site to lifestyle. We call that MMS. And that's our one-stop shop for online discount. It's our online discount hub, basically, for military and veteran households. So that site offers exclusive deals, coupons, money-saving tips, things like that, tailored to help members live well without overspending. So both of those are supported strongly through social media engagement and other vehicles. Those sites attract military audiences and engage them with the things that they are already looking for, right, online. So when our partners run content programs through those sites, run of site ads, brand pages, sweepstakes, discounts, things like that, they're already reaching an audience that is locked in and warmed up. So it makes things that much more effective for our clients and helps the marketing dollars stretch farther, giving you, better ROI on everything that you spend with us.
Can you share an example of a campaign where a brand authentically engaged the military community and saw measurable results?
Sure. So this is the one that we did for an energy drink product. This was a new product that was coming onto the market, but it gives you a sense of where we went. So the objective here was to drive awareness. Again, it's a new product on the market, and we wanted to get people to be aware of it, and then entice purchase of the products at commissary specifically. So the target here were authorized military shoppers. So this is going to be active duty and those select veteran members that have access to commissary purchases. So the strategy here, we used our all channels on campaign, and we leveraged a mix of social ads, email targeting, and then digital ads. So we used a mix of external ads and then ads through our My Military Lifestyle and My Military Savings. The solution was pretty straightforward to promote the energy drink and the supplements that they had, also a collection of supplements to go along with their energy drinks, by driving traffic into the commissaries where the consumers could purchase. We got through this campaign a 26.5% sales lift during the promotion. And then that continued to grow after the promotion was over with a 16.8% sales lift the following month after the promotion. So it had some longevity to the campaign. And overall, we reached 2.8 million impressions through our digital, social, and email touch points. So pretty effective use of funds, and really, got that product out there into the military consumers' hands.
Many of your clients also do significant business with Walmart. How does engaging the military community help reinforce category growth and shopper loyalty inside Walmart stores?
Loyalty is loyalty, no matter where they're shopping. Since these families shop in all sorts of places, building connections with them in the commissary and through our channels is going to naturally extend to product loyalty within Walmart stores. Like I said earlier, sometimes convenience and accessibility trumps price. So it's still smart to build that loyalty, even if Walmart prices can't compete with commissary prices all the time. There's just going to be some times when Walmart is the best, fastest option for them. And that's when that loyalty can really pay off. Plus, we run a lot of campaigns for products that have no relationship at all with the commissary. Because the viability of the military audience is there no matter where they're shopping.
Military families shop commissaries and exchanges, but also Walmart for selection and convenience. How can Walmart suppliers use military-focused campaigns to drive incremental household penetration?
Just like any kind of audience targeting, building a military-focused campaign is going to start with an understanding of who you're talking to, right? We're not rewriting the marketing playbook here. We just know this audience, and we have a pile of data that we can bring to bear in defining the demographic and psychographic traits that we need to build good marketing campaigns. We have a couple of partners who help with this. First, we use a tool called Leverage Lab to build what we call baseball cards for every single person in our database. So through our own collected data, through of the various platforms that we connect with these folks on, and an assortment of applied enrichments, we get a pretty detailed rundown of each of those audience members. So then we can take that data and aggregate groupings based on interest, specific product attributes, that kind of thing. for example, if you're selling a running shoe, we can segment the runners in our audience and build a pretty accurate real-time persona of what that buyer looks like. We can target those folks within our platform so we can identify who they are on our various, My Military Lifestyle, My Military Savings social media platforms and target them that way. But this gets really powerful when we export those personas into social media ads, connected TV, Google ad campaigns, digital stuff like that. That lets us really reach the other military consumers that are outside of our platform, but are similar to the folks that are inside our platform. So that gives us a really smart way to target. We've also partnered with a traditional research company called Decision Analyst, and they're in the process right now of building a specialty panel for us. So this is a special group of our military audience that'll allow us to build additional baselines of data, do test creative, run surveys, and drive primary research as needed. So it's a fantastic tool for us. And then, of course, we want to make technology work for us all the time. So we run all of our creative through a tool called Neurons. And this is an AI-driven tool that measures ad effectiveness, attention grabbing potential, and it even gives you like a heat map for where eyeballs are going on an ad. So it gives us it's a really great tool that helps us improve the work that we do and make sure that we're grabbing the attention that we need to with our ad creative.
Military consumers are known for their loyalty. How does that influence brand performance over time?
This is probably not a shocking finding, but several studies have shown that military affiliated audience are about twice as likely to favor brands who manage to work their way into the hearts and minds of their families. I think loyalty as a mindset is drilled into military service members. We talked about that a little earlier. And that extends into their buying habits. So that has a number of effects. First, winning over that service member means that you've won their family. It doesn't stop there, right? So this is a group mindset, a collection of people that really work in collectives. They share what they like. And so not only do you have a chance to potentially win over that military member and their family, but their neighbors and other community members. So there's an exponential effect to gaining their loyalty. Long term, that kind of growth adds up. And this is also loyalty that lasts, sometimes multi-generationally. So I'm always going to preach the value of building solid brand loyalty. I think it's always worth it. It's always a good idea for any brand. But in the case of the military, the effects of this are not only worth it, they should be considered required. In other words, I think a brand would be foolish not to invest in building loyalty with this audience.
What KPIs matter most when measuring the effectiveness of military-focused campaigns?
This is really going to depend on the product and the goals of the particular brand. Again, I said this earlier, but military marketing isn't running plays from a different playbook. It draws from the tools that you can think of it kind of like a multicultural marketing effort. It's just this particular audience is a military audience, right? So we measure big picture KPIs, like impressions, social engagements, email open rates, click-throughs, things like that, the normal stuff. But we can also get deeper down and track more, in-depth things, sales data, app downloads, and usage, that sort of thing. It really depends on what we're trying to do. As we know, with digital executions, there's a wide variety of things that we can track. And so, it just depends on what we're trying to do. So, selling an energy drink, for example, is going to be different from getting somebody to download a fuel rewards app from a gas station, right? We can and do both of those things. But what indicates performance for both of those is quite different. So we really like to work with each individual client and understand what KPIs are important to them, and then make sure that we're building out the tools in a way to measure the most important performance indicators for them.
For a Walmart supplier looking to expand, how do you recommend integrating the military community into their broader retail strategy?
I'd start with defining Walmart locations that are in close proximity to a base. We have a list of top commissaries, so that might be a good place to start. Like take the top 100 commissaries across the country, for example. Or if you have a particular geographic footprint, we could look at the top commissaries within that geography. So that gives you that geographic starting point to build from. Then I'd start to learn about the military families that live within that specific geography, right? So there may be particularities with them. What are their drivers? What are they into? They may be into water sports in one area and, pickleball in another area or whatever, right? So get that particularity by geography. And then we always like to look at where your product benefits overlap with the needs of those particular families. We can help find that sweet spot for the military families and your particular product. From there, you can leverage those learnings and build out that integrated campaign through our All Channels On program, designed specifically to target the audience and their particular touch points, creative executions, and specific vehicles like ads through My Military Savings or email blasts or content through lifestyle that reach those audiences. Those are key for us to build out. Finding a partner who understands this market is really pretty important, even if it's just for access to the data. So not to sound too much like a shill, but that's why I'm here, right? Specialty strategy is important for specialty targeting like this. So I think, if we want to dial it all the way back, start by giving me a call, and then we'll start working on your particular plan.
As consumer expectations evolve, how do you see the role of military-focused marketing changing over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And if I knew the answer to that exactly, I'd be a rich man, right? But here's the gut thinking that we come at this with. Size-wise, I think this audience is likely to remain consistent. There's been ebbs and flows of military personnel through the years and generations, but overall, I think it's safe to assume, a roughly 10% of the population is going to stay pretty firm. I don't think things are going to get significantly larger or smaller than that 10% number. So we currently have a lot of societal goodwill towards the military. Military support is really high. It feels good to support the military. And I hope that goodwill holds up. But we do see a potential erosion of that goodwill over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's something that we're watching very carefully.
For a brand that hasn't yet engaged the military community, what's the best first step to begin working with bBIG?
Give me a call. It's really that easy. We always start our conversations with the intent to understand your needs and how we might be able to help. I'd suggest with the size of this audience that it's probably going to be a good idea for any brand to get involved with military marketing, but that's not always the case. And we're going to tell you if we don't see an opportunity there. So, we can have some exploratory conversations to confirm or deny, the validity of a marketing program in this area for you. We're a small, scrappy team, and we're going to work hard to move the needle for you, but it just starts with that initial phone call or email. So let's get the conversation started.